Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Understanding Bach's Fugue. I am Marco, and today we will be talking about the Fugue from the Prelude and Fugue number 22 in B-flat minor, BWV 867 from the Book 1 of the Well-Tempered Clavier. The Fugue number 22 is a masterful work of Bach as 5 voices intertwine in a complex yet harmonious dance. One key characteristic of this fugue is the seamless weaving of the thematic material, which we will further dive into as we talk about the piece's 2 stretty occurrences. Before we begin, if you find these types of content helpful to you, please consider supporting us by subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. A small appreciation will help us as we keep on providing quality musical education content for everyone. Let's now discuss about the fugue. This fugue has 5 voices, and we're going to label them using the following from highest to lowest: first treble, second treble, alto, tenor, and bass. The subject of this fugue starts in the first treble in B-flat minor. To help you find the entrances, look for the 2 half notes that are jumping downwards, and then the 4 quarter notes that move downwards in steps. They are mostly separated by a quarter rest in their middle, but of course it won't be the case every time as some entrances are altered, and we will also be seeing the occurrences of the stretty later on. Going back to the fugue, the answer enters at the second treble. What we have here is the tonal answer, which is in F minor. This is followed by a brief codetta of 5 measures. The next entrance will be at measure 10 in the alto, followed by the answer in the tenor. In measure 55 is an isolated entry of the subject in the bass, and at this point all voices have been heard, concluding that the exposition is now finished. We are now in the first episode. In this episode, we modulate from B-flat minor to D-flat major. Which is its relative major? As you see, the first episode is built upon the last 4 notes of our main theme, both by direct and inverse movement. After the episode, we see the re-entry of the subject in the first treble. They appear in such an orderly manner in which the entries come as subject in the first treble, answer in the second treble, subject in the tenor, and answer in the bass. The alto will also enter at measure 37 after a very brief codetta. As you can see in the entrances above, the ending of the entries commences the next one. The second episode starts at measure 39. Like the first one, they are derived nearly the same from the first episode, but with more freedom. It retains the stepwise movements. At measure 46, we see the entrance of the answer in the tenor, and it's followed by the entry in the bass. To a more interesting part of the fugue, the next entry in the first treble starts the first stretto of this piece. We are currently in E flat minor. After the first treble entry, we can see the entrance of the answer in the second treble afterwards. To refresh your memory, a stretto is a technique which involves the overlapping of the subject in different voices or parts. This overlapping generates a sense of musical intensity and urgency, often leading to a climactic moment in the composition. Here's an example which I found online. As the yellow notes are still being played, the blue notes already entered with the same pattern halfway through. Going back to the piece, the second treble entry entered 2 beats just after the first treble entered. The stretto continues with the subject in the alto, answer in the bass, which is slightly altered, and the answer in the tenor. As it ends, we see the subject in the second treble and the answer in the alto. The third episode starts from measure 57, and this is where we modulate from E-flat minor to B-flat minor, back to our home key. It is written in 4-part harmony. Like the previous episode, it is still derived from the 4 quarter notes of the theme and is even more exclusively done than the first 2. The final section of this piece starts at measure 67, with the subject in the first treble. This begins another stretto occurrence and is more uniform than the previous one. It is followed by the answer in the second treble, subject in alto, answer in tenor, and subject in the bass. It is very uniform as the entrances are spaced out in 2 beats distance. The next entrance starts at the second half note of the entry preceding it. After the stretto is the coda of the piece. As you can see, there are limbs of the main theme in the final measures of the fugue, which shows an overlap of the quarter note figures and the half note pairs. This piece ends in a Picardy third. Despite its technical demands, this fugue captivates audiences with its beauty and complexity and of course, its intellectual depth, leaving a lasting impression of Bach's legacy as one of the greatest composers of all time. The fugue was personally hard to analyze as the 5 voices are hard to see, especially the entrances, while they're weaving through the grand staff in such a very detailed manner. Let's now listen to the fugue with all the marks we just put.